in the home stretch. Last piece of wood has been cut. I've got it glued in and drying at the moment. That was the base. It was probably the easiest piece to cut of the whole assembly. Now my final little embellishment before I can put the spray lacquer on. I've got a 5-cent piece, a 5p, a 10 euro cent I should say, and a 1 yuan piece from China. And I'm going to use the plunge router, which I've taken off the router table base, to make an inlay. So all I need to do is get down the thickness of the coin so that that coin is below the perspex when it slides down, and we'll glue those on as some decoration. Again, planning not my strong suit. I just did decide to do this at the last second, and you see these extended marks. That's because the router, when I lay it up against the edge like that, can't actually get as close as I wanted to. Not a big thing, just a slight design change. It'll still look okay, not exactly how I want it, but oh well, live and learn. And now I've got another problem, because I can't actually reach this one. I have to decide if I'm going to give up on it or try and do it another way. My solution, switch to the regular base and very, very, very carefully plunge cut this last circle and hope I don't mar the rest of the surface. Success! That one was a little bit of a bugger, not as pretty as the others because I had to make the hole slightly bigger. And that one's a little smaller. But I have 4 international currencies on here. And so it's evening and I brought up my S&P to be painted. Just got some water-based acrylics, mixing them up, going with the very politically incorrect pink and blue, but nah, what are you going to do? The first one came a bit dark, so I'm just going to go a bit lighter, I think, on the second coat. That's better. There we go, all done with the S and the P. Tomorrow morning, once it's all dry, I'll just give it a quick clear coat and some spray-on lacquer. Didn't realise that the Games Workshop were expanding into the crafty colour collection for ultramarine blue. That'd save me a lot of money. Since I started watching woodworking videos, finishing is the thing that has worried me the most, and it's proven frightfully true. You probably see the frustration on my face at the moment. So the other day I went out to Bunnings and asked for some clear spray lacquer, as that's what I've been seeing as the fastest, easiest way to finish most projects. And I ended up with a can of this. The name should have probably given it away, Cabothane Clear. When I went to grab it this morning, it's actually a polyurethane finish, which I don't want. I don't really want this to look terribly plasticky. So anyway, just because I have to get this done, I'm going to try it with the polyurethane and hope it looks okay. Don't think I'm going to have this finished before I have to leave, because I need several coats and it's just not going to happen. So a bit disappointing again, mostly in myself, just preparation and all that. But anyway, I don't even know if I'll end up putting this on the video, but just the frustration after having so much fun is very, very disappointing. I really want to get this finished. I got those set up on just a few nails so that as soon as that's touch dry, I'll be able to flip them over and do the other side. Except for the S&P, it obviously is going to be glued on. It doesn't need to be sprayed on the other side. I've started on the back so that when I flip it over, if I do dent any of the soft varnish on there, it won't matter because you won't see it. And just a little bit of tape where I'm going to end up gluing that perspex board on because I want it to glue straight to the wood and not to the ceiling. Light at the end of the tunnel. Because this piece was now too short after I changed the operation of how I was going to do this, to make it sit flush against that line, rather than cutting a whole new piece of perspex, I just trimmed off some tiny bits of the perspex and stuck them in the corners as little feet. This bit still hides quite nicely behind this ridge cap, so it's very solid and now it's at the right height when I glue it to my lid opening piece, which is still drying. Still got the super glue on here. The last piece of construction, I just quickly cut out a piece of MDF, and it's going to sit snugly in those dados I cut right at the start. Preparation for a change actually worked to form a little divider between the two sides of the Moneybox, and hopefully it won't interfere. No, it won't. Lovely. With that operation there. Fantastic. Do you like my finishing wagon? Green bin. Useful. Now it's going to care if it gets a little bit of clear coat on it, so we'll use that while we spray. I'm really not sure how much you're meant to put on. I'm trying to do a light coat but still get even coverage. I've not used this technique before. I can't see pooling, but it stinks in here, so I'm pretty sure I've done the right thing in A, wearing the dust mask, and B, getting some coverage on there. We'll leave it till morning. We'll try again after sanding down. It's looking okay. Well, we're not there yet, but I'm tempted to take back all the nasty things I said about polyurethane spray, because I'm 2 coats in now and things are looking pretty good. Taking a light 240 grit sandpaper to these little pieces, and they're actually coming up really, really nicely. So I've got the main piece inside. I've literally just ridden home from work to put this next coat on, and we should hopefully be pretty done with the finishing. But it is the most intimidating part of the job so far, and I am happy that the spray polyurethane is actually coming together quite nicely. Yep, looking good. 1 coat on here. It is quite rough to the touch, even though I sanded it down before, but those other ones are now 3 coats in were feeling nice and smooth. Yeah, it comes up nice. Check that out. That was back in the city, but still, spring is well and truly here. Glad I'm not spraying any more lacquer today, because that is where we are. It's assembly time, finally. That now has 3 coats of the cabothane polyurethane spray on there, and it's come out quite nice. Some of that ply is actually going to be darker than I thought it would, but that was the colour of the marine ply. And now the last thing to do is to glue in the bits of perspex and make sure my door still works. This tape here has been protecting some of the wood where I'm going to have glue, because it doesn't work too well if you get this finish on the glue areas. I got some 320 grit sandpaper the other day, and before I put the final coat on, it made a real difference between the 240 and the 3. This one only did down to 240 and this one's 320. It does make it much, much smoother. Fortunately, that's the top bit, so that's probably the piece people will be touching the most. So it's going to sit there like that. Exciting. So what I want to do today and let dry overnight is to position this S&P and get it glued on. Get this piece glued onto its handle so that the opening mechanism will work like that, and get the large piece of perspex, luckily I marked it front and bottom, in there and glue the top on. 1 last coat of wax, and this will all be done for their birthday 2 weeks ago. It's taken me a long time to get this together. It's like opening a new phone. I hope this fits. Ever so gently. Looking good. Let's do a test run. What a catch! I did want this to teach my niece and nephew a few important life lessons. The one I didn't intend to teach them is, life isn't always fair. Obviously, those 10 coins have not exactly split evenly. I'm really quite nervous about this glue up. I'm going to have to give it some good testing, mostly because this piece was very difficult to cut. I never had to replace it, and that's going to be a challenge and time consuming. And also because I didn't really design this mechanism originally. I was going to drill a hole in the side and have a plug. And I may have to resort to that still as a plan B, but What I really want to do is glue this to this, but as you'll see, there's just piss all surface area. So I'm hoping this polyurethane glue, Tech Grip, it's worked really well for me so far. I'm just going to clamp it, let it go overnight, and hope that it will hold. I've scratched my little marks in there so I know where to line that up. And as a second bit of glue, and also to hide that unneeded dado, I'm going to have this S&P glued to there, and I've sanded it down a little bit just to give it extra grip. It's going to be glued to the wood as well. So both of those together, I'm hoping, gives me enough strength in this door. Now, if it ever falls off, I can always find another way to fix it, but I'm hoping this works. We'll see how we go. Okay, what I think I'm going to do first, because it's easier and it will give me more surface area to glue this onto this, is I'm going to put the S and the P down now and then just position it carefully how it should be, let that dry solid, and then I should be able to attach that to the lid a bit easier. Okay, I'm actually going to let that sit there and grip for a few minutes first, and then I'll apply some pressure on there. I'm worried already I've used far too much glue and it's going to become squirting out around the sides. You can get it off afterwards, but you know, it involves some scratching, which I would like to avoid. So close to finishing this project. The mechanism works brilliantly, looks really, really nice with the perspex on there. Only thing is, it does drop on this side a lot more than this side, but what can you do? I had mixed fortunes with my door. Firstly, the good. It's holding together really well. I don't think that piece of perspex is going to come off. So as a handle, it's something that's going to be played with by 4-year-olds. The polyurethane glue has been great from a strength point of view, and it's stuck down nicely. From a negative, I'm going to think I'll try epoxy instead of this polyurethane glue. It expands as it dries. And this yellow foam, look, it does come off, but I'm going to have to use a variety of cutting, poking, scraping. On wood, it wouldn't be a problem because you could just sand it up. But with this paint and on the plexiglass, I'm going to have to be very careful not to mar the surface too much. But there's not a lot I can do now. I don't want to remake this entire piece. That would be a lot of work. So we'll just have to call that a learning experience as well and get as much off as we can and just do a little touch up with the paint if need be. The bigger problem, and I was really scared this would happen, and it has, when I've had the pressure of the brick down on top of this, it smushed it just a little bit so that it doesn't line up. We're talking millimeters here, really. So to correct this, it needs to go that way a little bit. I'm just going to try and shave off a tiny bit of the edge there. And then my incredibly over-engineered and overly ambitious 4th birthday present for my nephew and niece will finally be finished in time for Christmas. The last thing I'm going to do is quickly put a message in here. The handwriting greatly resembles that of a 4-year-old, so it's rather appropriate. And I put a quick spray of polyurethane over the top just to seal that in. Now, to hide my little hole and to make it stand up pretty, just got some of these stick-on cork feet so it will not scratch whatever it happens to be placed on. And I'm breathing a big sigh of relief here as this project draws in its final seconds with one last dot. There we go. This is my first completed actual project that wasn't just making another tool for my shop to let me make projects. It was challenging. It was beyond challenging. It absolutely stressed me out. It's about a week and a half over the promised delivery date, and it's gone through a few, well, evolutions along the way. Let's test it. Nice. I could have hours of fun with this. I'm hoping a 4-year-old can. I might even let them keep the 20-cent pieces. All done, wrapped up, to get it out again. Grab it there. Oh, 2 to 8. Don't like those odds. Anyway, thanks for staying with me if you got through all this project. If you want to make this, there are absolutely no plans available online. However, you should be able to copy along by watching the video as it is in rather excruciatingly poor detail. Not in the excruciating level of detail, but in the poorness of the workmanship. With that in mind, it's actually come out really bloody well. I'm very, very happy with it. I hope that the harshest critics, being my 4-year-old niece and nephew, Stephen and Bryony, enjoy it, and that they don't destroy it within the first week of getting it, though once I give it to them, it's theirs to do with as they will. Thanks for staying along. Next up, I might actually try a geocaching project. Well, geocaching related project. See you next time. This is the project that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friends. Why the hell didn't I become a singer?